All right, interest in honeybees is spiking for some Houston residents who are looking for a new hobby. But what does it take to become a backyard beekeeper?
I don't know, but David Gonzalez is looking into what you should keep in mind before bringing home these buzzing pollinators.
Backyard beekeeping is growing in popularity, and there are things that you can do to be a friendly neighbor, not just to those living around you, but also to the bees. Bees are a key part of the environment. Some bee experts estimate every 3 bites of food we eat was pollinated by a bee. Hives in backyards are popping up around Houston. Some hives could carry up to 30,000 bees each. There are no city ordinances restricting backyard beekeeping in the city of Houston or Harris County, but there may be HOA or deed restrictions depending on where you live. Experts say honeybees aren't aggressive unless provoked.
When you see them in your landscape and on your flowers, they're foraging. They're just looking for food. They are not aggressive in the least.
If you want to be a backyard beekeeper, there are some rules you should follow. We'll have much more on that coming up at 5. Reporting in Tomball, David Gonzalez, KHOU 11 News.